My name is Daniel Olivares, and I live in Echo Park. My mom, she was born in Mexico. She came here when she was 2, so very Americanized. Then my dad came here when he was 15. My dad was a boxer back then. He was also a mechanic. They were living right by the Echo Park pool. It's really awesome growing up in this big family. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. There was 7 of us basically in that apartment. And because of my high energy, my dad put me into boxing. A part that I grew up in Echo Park, it was a small section called a historic Filipino town. We were surrounded by first-generation Filipinos. Whenever a Manny Pacquiao fight would happen, my dad would invite everyone, or we would be invited to the houses, and it'd be like this culture mix of like Filipinos and Mexicans. My dad saw kind of boxing as like the only way out, because that's the only thing he knew, right? So my mom grew up here mostly, so she saw school as the way out. So that was his way, that was my mom's way. My dad, he took boxing extremely seriously. So boxing was our way to bond, like in a weird way. When I would lose a fight, my dad, he wouldn't talk to me. Like he'd be like, you gotta win this round. Or he goes, I know you can do better, you're not doing better. A lot changed when I had like my brain surgery, right? We get to the hospital and then like the neurologist pops in and he's just like, yeah, so we found something. And my parents just get pale. They were like, yeah, so we found a cyst, and it's called an arachnoid cyst. I have the surgery, and everything goes cool. And my dad's like, so will he ever box again, you know? And the surgeon's like trying to dance around it. I wouldn't recommend it. And my dad goes, but like, is that like a serious answer? Like, is that definitive? So I boxed and I won the college belts, you know? It wasn't that crazy as I thought, you know? My first fight back, it was like literally maybe 1.5 years after the brain surgery. I felt good, you know, I was like, you know, I felt a little out of breath, whatever, but I felt good. But I started feeling like my scar would hurt. And I started telling my dad, I was like, Papa, I don't think I'd be able to do this, you know? And he kind of started like sensing it too. Echo Park wasn't a utopia, you know, like it wasn't the greatest place ever and the safest place, but it was like our place, you know? And it sucked because it was taken because we didn't prepare ourselves like in a community sense. Once the gentrification hit, we started seeing like for sale signs and we're like, oh, that's what's going on here. I hate to say it, but like once the cops became another gang, I remember walking home with my friends and a cop pulls up and then he just goes like, hey, like lift up your shirts. And we're like, what the like, I'm pretty sure that's not legal, bro. We got blindsided and we got taken like out. That's when home started fading away because Echo Park was taken, it was gone. I was working at a coffee shop. Where I grew up, there was a lot of like small mom and pop shops and a lot of communities and a lot of people knew my mom or a lot of people knew my dad. There was a sense of like kind of like home, you know, like belonging. I started noticing the changes of Echo Park and it was due to coffee shops. So I would see these menus and it would just say like Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala. Then I'd order a Mexico and then it's just a black coffee and I'm like, what the is this? And then that's kind of like what started leading to like, oh, my infatuation with coffee and the message and socioeconomic stuff. And then I opened a coffee shop. And the thing was picking the spot to open it first, right? Wanted Echo Park, naturally, that's where I'm from. But the cheapest I could find was a 400 square foot area for $7,000 a month. I was trying to look around and I was like, what else felt like home? You know, what else did I feel that community? It sprung back to boxing. We fought over here in Southeast LA. We fought and we sparred in Maywood and Azteca. I was like, well, maybe this is the area that I want to start the coffee shop, you know? I'm 21 when the doors open. People started coming in and they would be like, oh, this is a coffee shop. Like I thought it was like an art gallery. And I'm like, oh, well, like maybe it should be, you know? That's the key, like involving the community in here, like so they know I'm here. It's no longer a business where it's like, okay, like I want to grow this business, scale it up. I want to like support the people that help me, support the communities that I'm in. I'm not going to veer away from now helping farmers and helping the communities because that's the world I would like my son to grow up in. And so like that started building Cielito where it was just like a community. And in the sense, like, that's what I wanted, you know? I could communicate with Filipino bakeries that they buy my coffee, and we have a barista here who's half Filipino, half Mexican. So I'm like, bro, like, that's my neighborhood, you know? And seeing that and seeing like bonds being formed that we're like not gonna allow gentrification to kind of take over that easily here, I guess it's something that I feel like it's in homage to Echo Park. Home is where people they see you and they respect you and they like acknowledge you. I chose Cielito, like heaven. I wanted it to also be something where people can see that and they'll just be like, oh, that's the lighthouse. That's the place to go to. That's home, you know?